Just as a book on magnetism can teach you everything about a magnet except a magnet. If you place a piece of iron on the table and rub it with that book on magnetism, the iron piece can never become a magnet. For that, only a magnet can do it. Another example is, if you have a book of musical composition and poems composed by a great musician who has produced hundreds of musicians. Suppose he has composed a book of songs and made a musical composition of it. Suppose that book is published with musical notes. Can the book make a beginner sing? The book can tell you everything about the musician and everything about the songs and the music, but it can never give you the music. Another person should come and train you in the music, and then only he can give you that book. In the same way, no scripture can be received through a book. Everything about the scripture can be received through a book, and the scripture should be received from person to person. This is the reason why from the ancient times till today, the scriptures remained only an oral tradition. So the primitive man transmitted it from person to person, and afterwards when man discovered script and writing, each group of human beings translated the scripture into their own language. You know, some people have language writing from left to right horizontally. Some have language from horizontally from right to left. Some have language vertically from above downwards. Some have vertically from below upward. We have even today languages written in 4 directions. So scriptures are translated into and travelled to 4 corners of the earth. And then there is the inner meaning of the story of the Tower of Babel. That is, everyone had the same scripture, but the man of one language could not communicate with the man of the other language. This limitation is what the scriptures call the curse of Babel. So we have many scriptures in the world. Afterwards, human beings became intelligent, and the intelligence replaced fresh intuition. When intelligence becomes more, it becomes self-conscious, and then the automatic telepathy will be lost. Because the more we are self-conscious, the less we will be telepathic to the ideas of others. This is because when you are busy with your own ideas, and when I am busy with my own ideas, we cannot feel the ideas of each other unless we have a compulsory method of vocal language. So this change took place when the intelligence increased. So what we call telepathy has become rare. We began to live only with intelligence. Now, if we try to understand the scriptures in our own way, it is only with the key of our intelligence that we try to understand. And intelligence is not a reliable key, because it is purely personal. You have your own intelligence and I have my own intelligence. You have your own logic and I have my own logic. If both of us read the same book, you have your own ideas and I have my own ideas about the book. Such is the defect of the poor human logic. Even about truth, everyone has his own or her own ideas. And no two persons' ideas about truth are same. So everyone has his own idea of truth. which is evidently false truth. Because if it is truth,
Yes.
all people should have the same opinion. And
Ideen haben.
the very fact that I have my own idea of truth and you have your own idea of truth, it easily proves that our ideas of truth are false truth. So, there are the many world scriptures now. But since they contain the same content, the background is the same, the import is the same, that which we are to understand is the same, and the technique with which they are given is the same, and the technique is kept in each language in a different way. No doubt some of the technique has been lost when these scriptures are translated into different languages. But if we make a comparative study of all the scriptures, then we will understand the total technique. And
Diese Technik.
there is a symbolism, there is a method of composition, there is an allegorization, there is a science of parables, and there is a science of using nature as data of the book. So, essentially the scriptures are esoteric in nature. So, when we try to understand the common import of the scriptures, we find the same thing in all the scriptures. Now, we have scriptures somewhat affected by time. They are not in their fresh original form. Sometimes when they are translated, there are places where the human being misunderstands and wrongly translates. And sometimes we have our own way of interpretation, and even then we have a wrong way of translating. If an unbeliever translates, he translates in his own way. If an emotionalist translates, he will translate in a different way. For example, when an atheist translates the first words of the scripture, for example, God said, "Let there be light." There was light. These sentences, the atheist cannot understand them. He has no method of knowing the technique. Therefore, he disbelieves the sentences with ignorance, and he comments that it was the ignorance of the primitive human being. And if an emotionalist of a religious fellow translates them, he imagines that God is a very, very big human being playing with the sun, earth and the moon. And he thinks that God suddenly said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Like this, in his own way, he translates. If we compare the two translations, we will have conflict of it. So we have such difficulties with the scriptures, especially with the people of religions. They explain in their own way. So when we try to understand the scriptures in a correct way, we should try to imagine how the first man received them. If we examine the many scriptures that are available with us, many of them are parts lost and parts gained. And when we make a comparative study of these scriptures, each is in a way mutilated in time. For example, if we take the Old and the New Testaments, many of the parts are cut off, taken away by the missionary Christians and changed in some places. For example, if there was a description about Christ, that he was a pure vegetarian, he never ate meat, he never took wine, and he never killed anything. These lines are taken away from the scripture for the convenience of those who spread the religion. And what we read is only the pieces of the scripture left by the religious fellows. So we are forced to understand Christ only through Christians. So we are forced to understand Buddha only through Buddhists. We are forced to understand Krishna through Hindus. Now, even then, there are people who know the scriptures in their original way. They take the scriptures texts directly and they teach us directly and teach us what there are in the scriptures. They teach us about the three aspects of God
Yes.
and about the first prototype of man, about the 7 races of the human beings, and afterwards a second set of 7 races,
Und dann die
and the time keys of these periods, and the subdivisions of times in these
und
periods.
die
Also, they teach us about the cosmic creation, in which a space globe separates from the total space and it becomes an egg to hatch the whole creation in itself. Just like the chicken is hatched in the egg, and the egg contains light, which is described as the golden light, which is the child of the egg. It is described as the golden bird. The details of that cosmic creation are given in the scriptures. And then this light becomes lights. That is what we call the stardust. And then it becomes the stars. Each star develops into a solar system. So the next step described is the solar creation. And then planets develop in each solar system. So the planetary creation is also described in the scriptures. And upon our earth, how the planet formed, how the poles of the earth formed, how the equator formed, how the rotation along its own axis formed. All these forces and intelligences of nature, which we call the North Pole and the South Pole, the equator, the Earth's geometrical center, they are described as the first rulers of this Earth. So we have the planetary creation also. And then we have the creation of the elements on this Earth. That is solid, liquid, gas and fire in space. How these things make a cyclic process on Earth and how the secondary creation takes place.
stattfand.
It is called the creation of the elements, and then the birth of life, and then the birth of mind, and then the birth of the senses, and then the birth of matter, and the birth of the forms, and then the birth of the human being, called anthropogenesis, and how the first human beings were, how the first race and the second race and the third race existed, and how the third race came into hermaphrodite existence, and how the fourth race separated into 2 sexes and had the physical bodies, and then how the fifth race came. That means the present human race. We belong to the fifth human race. All this story is given in all the scriptures. So when we want to study all these things, we have to know the technique of the scriptures. And as far as the consistency of the scriptures is concerned, we find that the ancient Indian scriptures, whom we call the Vedas, the Upanishads, the Purana and the Itihasa, they are luckily the least affected by the religious people. And also they are the maximum records that escaped the danger of time. So we have an example of the original form of scriptures in the present Indian scriptures. Luckily we have a sample, but the keys are known only to some people, and only those people can explain us the scriptures. These are whom we call the masters of wisdom. For example, Moria, Kuthumi and Jwalpot. And all the others read them only as story books or some adventure books. So now let us try to make an approach to the technique of the scriptures by taking the Indian scriptures as example, taking one original piece of the Indian scriptures and how to make an approach to it. First of all, let us try to know the divisions of the Indian scriptures, what we call the Vedas. The word Veda means wisdom, and we have 4 books. The first book is called Rig Veda, that is the wisdom of light and sound. That is what the word means. Wisdom of light and sound. The second is called Samaveda, which means the wisdom of life. Life, not only life, but life music. I will explain you what it is. The third is called Yajurveda, wisdom of the work of the universe or the plan of the universe. I will explain you. The fourth is called Atharva Veda, wisdom of worldly application, that is mundane application of the nature sciences. This is the division of the Vedas. Of course, each explains a different esoteric aspect. For example, if we take the first one, we will explain a little more. Sound of voice is called Rik. So, here you are made to understand how the sound is produced, how voice comes out, how it becomes the syllables, how they are framed as words, etc. And your method of following the origin of the voice and your process of meditation by following the voice and the consciousness following the path of your own voice, trying to discover the birth point of voice. That is what is given in the first Veda. And also what is light, how light comes from darkness, that is also explained. Also what is objectivity, how it comes out from subjectivity, it is also explained. This is what the first Veda contains. Similarly, the second one is what we call the song of life, which we call respiration. So, how the respiration takes place, even though we do not remember it very much, how the automatic process goes on, what is that part of our consciousness that makes the respiration, which is quite different from the present consciousness which we know, and how this song produces this voice, how both of them construct what we call the word. And the third is what we call the birth of the mind.
Nene.
So when respiration takes place, there is the first cry of the child,
Ist.
which is called the voice.
It.
So it is said, from the song the voice comes, or from the Samaveda the Rigveda comes. Again from the Rigveda Samaveda comes. That means with the voice we again practice song. So how from the song of life the voice comes out, and how from the voice once again the music is practiced. How there is the word and the meaning. The mind arranges what is called meaning. The word and its meaning, the sentence and its meaning, and it is what is called the plan. How your life is planned with your mind and how the plan is spoken with your word. This is what these books contain. This is roughly the texture of the scripture. There is a little more to be explained by way of introduction before we go into the 6 keys how to interpret them. So tomorrow we will finish that introduction and enter into the 6 keys and how to interpret the 7th with the help of the 6 keys.
Mit.
That is what we begin tomorrow.
Beginnen.
Thank you. Sure, yeah, sure, because the construction of the constitution is always the same with everyone. Just it is because the constitution is the same in everyone, and the creative intelligences that are working in everyone are the same, and the devas of the mind and the senses are the same. Whenever we go into meditation, they begin to make their presence manifest to us in the form of sounds and colors.
In.
That is the beginning of what we call the scripture.
Nene.
Not the scripture written on any book, but yourself taken as a book. The sounds will be heard by you and the colors will be seen by you, and they will be used as alphabet to make a direct approach to the scripture. We explained something about the Vedas yesterday. We saw that there are 4 Vedas. The Rig Veda, the Samaveda, Yajur Veda and Atharvana Veda. We have these 4 volumes differently. Each volume contains its own mantrams. This is the exoteric aspect of the Vedas. There is the esoteric aspect. The word Veda means wisdom. It also indicates the book, which is many times mentioned by Blavatsky in her Secret Doctrine and Isis Unveiled. It is also called the manuscript. It is also called the archaic manuscript. It is described that it is the oldest book of the world. It is also said that only one copy of it is now in existence. You will find translations from its stanzas in the beginning of the Secret Doctrine. You will also find some more stanzas translated in the beginning and ending of the book Treatise on Cosmic Fire. And the book is also mentioned as the Book of Dhyan. Dhyan, Book of Dhyan.
Dhyan. Dhyan.
It has an esoteric aspect. In the Vedic tradition, the book indicates the reader or yourself, and the Rig Veda indicates your word and your utterance. This is the esoteric and the real meaning of the words. So once again I repeat, the book means your existence or your life. That is the reader or the disciple. That is what is meant in the Vedas. The Rig Veda means your voice and your utterance. It is called your word. The Samaveda means your respiration, which is called the song of life. Here you are expected to read the Samaveda in yourself. You have to read out the Rig Veda from yourself.